Thank you for that wonderful introduction, recording lady. I am Ashley Toll. I just graduated, class of 2020. I transferred from El Camino College, and I work in the Transfer Student Center for a few more days until transfer transitions is over. So thank you guys again for coming and joining us. In our world, advisors are like gold. So thank you so much for joining us.
And then Michael, whenever you're ready, we can get started on our first question we have for our speakers.
Yeah, of course. So I have a little bit of, or a couple of pre-asked questions that the speakers will be answering. The first question is, what advice do you have for folks meeting with UCLA academic advisors for the first time? Things to ask, what to expect.
Would it be okay if Brian and I introduce ourselves real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Brian, do you want to go?
Sure.
You want me to go? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, my name is Brian Henry. I'm currently one of the co-interim directors, along with Shala, of College Academic Counseling. I also have the fortunate position of working with our college academic mentors, our graduate students who advise on graduate and professional school, as well as first quarter transfers. So I'm the coordinator of the CAM program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shala Rahimzadeh. I'm actually I was a transfer student. I transferred I went to USC. Don't judge me, okay? But I transferred to USC. So transfer students are very near and dear to my heart. As Brian mentioned, I am one of the co-interim directives of CAC, and I'm also the academic counselor for the food studies minor. So I don't know if you've heard of that, but there's a minor on food studies, and I'm in charge of that. So, okay, sorry, Michael, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good. Maybe I can repeat the question just for the, okay, cool. Okay, so the first question is, what advice do you have for folks meeting with the UCLA academic advisor for the first time? Things to ask and like what to expect.
I think, you know, as a former transfer student, I know that my experiences were, you know, when you're transferring, you're on a mission, you know, for me, I came from a community college, so it was like I knew what classes I needed to take to fulfill the IGETC or the articulation required for the universities I went to. And so I was really focused on just like my classes and program planning, that once I got to USC, I met with an academic advisor, it was required, but I don't think really utilized it in the ways that I wish I would have. I was always more focused on like my plan of, oh, I got to graduate. And I think that's just part of the culture of sometimes being a transfer student, just feeling like you need to meet these goals and move forward. So I would say one thing I would recommend is, you know, we're a lot more than that. Like we can certainly help you obviously with regard to navigating your degree requirements and your academic courses that you need, but your undergraduate experience is so much more than that. We're hoping that we can help support you personally and professionally in kind of crafting your UCLA journey, not only while you're here, but for your post-graduation goals as well. So I would say, you know, don't be afraid to just chat with us about all sorts of things, your personal interests, what you're hoping to kind of do, and while you're at UCLA, who do you hope to become? And while we're not the experts in everything, we can certainly point you in the right direction and connect you with folks that can really get you connected with things that will kind of help support your personal, professional, and your academic goals.
Yeah, I mean, in our appointments, we really love to talk to students, not just about their degree requirements, but you'll often get us answering a lot of additional, or asking a lot of additional questions, seeing if you're interested in studying abroad, if you want to do research, if you've thought about doing research, if you're interested in like working with honors with your department, if you have professional goals that you would like to develop. We love to have those conversations, and not only just how to, you know, look at your degree requirements and get to graduation, but what are the things that you do along the way that not only benefit you as an individual, but will prepare you for your goals, be it academic or professional.
Awesome. I'll move on to the second question. So the second question is, what is something you wish students would ask you about more often?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm stumped, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think a lot of times students are really surprised when we go into the developmental conversation. So I love they leave a lot happier at the end, kind of like, oh, I didn't realize we were going to talk about all of this. So I mean, I love when students are real and honest, and you know, can relate and struggle. Sometimes like they're having difficulty in a course and even just asking me like, oh, what did you do when you ever thought of dropping a course? Or you got a midterm grade back and you are not familiar seeing that letter next to your name. Like, you know, those types of questions, I think the humanizing questions really help in the interactions.
I would say questions that have to do with the unknown. I know it's scary, but it's not usually until the last quarter when I'll talk with seniors who will just kind of be like, I'm lost, or I don't know what I want to do. And I think it's so important to have those conversations, because I think we can help normalize so much of it that I don't think anyone really knows what they want to do, just to be frank. So I think the students that come that aren't afraid, I think to kind of go into the unknown or talk about some of their uncertainties, which I know takes time, right, to build, and with that comes trust. But I always really appreciate those conversations and know that all of us in our unit are willing to listen and be as of much support that we can.
Awesome, thank you for your answers. For the third question, how many credits would you take your first quarter at UCLA?
I think it depends on what kind of transfer student you are. If you're a UC to UC transfer student and you're used to the quarter system, then, you know, I would once again, if you feel like taking a typical load that you would have taken before, that definitely happens, and I see that occur. For incoming transfer students who are adjusting to the quarter system, if you're coming from a semester community college, or even if you were coming from a quarter-based community college, I know there's a few of them, just getting used to upper division coursework, as a lot of students will be taking upper division coursework their first time. I really encourage students to just take the 3 classes, 12 units or more, 12 to 15 units. So really encourage you to take that time to get acclimated to the quarter system and get acclimated to the way that UCLA, you know, the large lecture courses, especially while we're in Zoom now. I know there's kind of a feeling of, oh, well, you know, we're at stay at home. I can't get as actively involved as I wanted to get. So I'm going to just pile on more classes to stay busy. And I really would resist that, that temptation and really take a first quarter, get balanced, get used to the quarter system. The quarter system's not very forgiving. You know, midterms start around week 3 and they don't end until like week 10 or finals week when you're actually there. So just taking the time to get adjusted and doing that, and then coming and talking to us about how many classes a quarter you need to take for the rest of your quarters while you were here, helping you plan that out to see if this is a comfortable pace or if we should do some summer session or if we should try 4 in the winter. Yeah.
100% agree with Brian. And I think intentionality is so important, even after your first quarter. Obviously, we want you to help you to graduate on time, but also in thinking about what other sorts of things are you looking to do, you know, whether it be research or an internship or studying abroad, you want to take those into account because that's going to take time, right? So you want to be able to kind of balance your time with your classes. So I think intentionality is always very important. And that's why it's so important to check in with not only us, but also your major advisor as well, your department advisor.
For the fourth question, how do you add a minor?
It depends at what point, and it depends on the minor itself. I mean, the first layer would be is that every minor will have its own process with regard to how you declare. Some require that you complete, you know, prerequisites and then apply. Others, you know, if you're just in good academic standing, you can apply. So it's important to definitely check with the respective department of the minor that you are interested in. The second part of it is that once you've hit a certain number of units, so it's 150 units, then you do need approval from the college, which is our unit, or your, you know, respective college counseling unit. And that's just for us to ensure that you can add your minor and that you can graduate in a timely manner. So you can certainly meet with us and drop in, and we're happy to kind of look at that and help you see if it's a good fit. But definitely do check in with the minor department to kind of check in about what it is that's required for you to be considered for that minor.
Yeah, and intentionally plan it as you kind of get to know different fields. Please come and talk to us. The sooner the better. We can really help you at that point fit it in and work within the policies and regulations for your time to degree here at UCLA.
And for a lot of transfer students, you guys actually have, well, depending on your major, you often have quite a few like elective units, especially to meet the upper division requirement. So if there is a minor that you're interested in that you do want to dedicate those units to, go for it. We highly encourage it, but don't feel like you have to minor in something either. If there isn't something that is particular striking for you, maybe it's worth it that you kind of utilize those additional units in other coursework, like, you know, across disciplines that would kind of help shape and build you, you know, as a person.
Okay, the next question is it possible to change majors or add a second major? And if so, how do you do so?
Depends. If you're changing a major, I mean, coming in as a transfer student, you know, from what I understand, you have to be admitted. A lot of majors require that you be admitted as like a transfer, like a new transfer admit, meaning that the majors are impacted and that you're not able to switch into them once you are at UCLA. So it really does depend on the major itself. Another example would be like students who come in as a humanities or social sciences who want to switch to the sciences, like the hard sciences. That's not a possibility, just because the number of prep requirements is literally like a year to 2 years of work. So just it's not feasible. So definitely come and talk to us if you are interested in kind of exploring another major, so that we can kind of give you some options. Brian, I don't know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are majors that are closed to certain students after transfer or upon transfer. But yes, we can still work with you on what your goals are. You know, so sometimes we get a student who wants to be a certain major because they think it'll lead to a specific profession. And that's where we can say, well, maybe that major isn't open to you, but here's how to add in additional elective coursework. Here's how to do an internship. Here's how to get involved with this organization, or here's all the different ways that you can still get to where you want to go. Because while your major is a really great lens through which you're going to study here, it doesn't define you and who you are and who you're going to be professionally, or even in graduate and professional schools. There's lots of different options. So even if there's something you wanted to explore, we can often help you find an alternate path in leading there.
Gonna blow your mind. 73% of people do not work in a field related to their major. Boom. Myself included, yeah. So yes, as Brian was saying, your major does not define your career trajectory whatsoever.
Yeah, and if that second major that you are looking to is open to you, we can definitely look at helping you to plan that. Just know we would still be needing to do it within time to degree and policy and regulation. So it's an option. We just have to be very intentional. And we do want to talk about, we often want to talk to students about what are you hoping to get out of this double major, because it is a huge commitment. And sometimes in having to take that commitment on, you have to say no to other things, like saying no to an internship or study abroad or this or that. And it actually might get in the way of where you want to go. So these are conversations that we love to have, because each student is different, each situation is unique, and we love to tease it out with you.
And there is a petition process that if you were looking to do a double major, that you would have to meet with your department counselors for both. You'd have to submit paperwork to us. So as Brian said, definitely come and chat with us once you're thinking of like early stages, whenever you're thinking about that, so we can kind of walk you through that process.
Okay, the next question is a little related to the last one. Is double majoring worth it? So more in terms of pros and cons of adding a second major.
I think, Brian, you started touching on that, which what you said I thought was so poignant. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it is. I don't know that it makes you more competitive. I don't know that it would, you know, I personally, I'm like a really strong believer in students studying disciplines or subjects that they're passionate about, that mean something to them. I'm a big believer in transferable skills and what you can learn, you know, in your specific major that can kind of help translate into whatever it is that you choose to do. I don't know necessarily that adding a double major would make you more competitive or not. I think that if it's something that you're once again passionate about, if you're really interested in, then I think it could definitely be worth exploring. But I think also thinking about, as Brian was saying, like, by doing the double major, not to say what is it taking away from, but like, is it still giving you the opportunity and the time for you to explore, for example, internships or research, or maybe you want to study abroad, you know, which I didn't get to do that. And I would, if you can afford it, I would highly recommend that you do. So I think thinking about the big picture, and once again, intentionality is kind of what I would say.
It's great if it can happen. It's great if it works along the way, but I feel like if it does kind of get in the way of things, and I say it in a tongue-in-cheek way, but kind of like Shala was saying with transferable skills, no one can call your double major and ask, how are you in working in small groups? Did you show up to work on time? Like, you know, especially as our economy will be changing in the next few years, and jobs may kind of be limited in opening up positions. There's sometimes a fear if there's an economic downturn that, oh, well, if we hire this position and they don't work out, we might not be able to replace them if our budget changed significantly. And that's really where those transferable skills, the employers start to look really heavily on them to say, we need to know that if we hire this person, it's someone that will be staying with us, that will work out. And I think, you know, other opportunities, research internships, even a study abroad is a great way to show that you have those transferable skills. So I always kind of say if a double major works out and it fits, great. But if it's not something that'll fit, it'll get in the way. But let's look at what the ultimate goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next is, what is DARS and how should we check ours?
DARS is a robot. DARS is our degree audit report system. It is where it's basically a snapshot of your degree requirements, in which you can look and see exactly what it is, including your transferable courses that you came in with from your respective community colleges or universities, what requirements you fulfilled, everything from the university requirements, the college, general education requirements, and then your major and unit requirements. You can access it on My UCLA, and we actually, our wonderful peer counseling team created a how to access your DARS video that's on our website. So I'm gonna search for that. I don't know, Brian, if there's more you wanna add.
Yeah, like Shala was saying, it's an imperfect system, right? It works really well. It has the degree requirements fed into them, but sometimes manual substitutions need to occur, or sometimes the system doesn't always catch something. So if you're ever looking at your degree audit to see what your requirements are, what you've satisfied, and something doesn't look correct, or it looks weird, if there's like 0 units next to that class and you don't know why, come and talk to us. If it's for your major, talk to your major department, because we'll want to double check the work that DARS is doing to make sure that there's no errors on it, try to catch the errors when they're occurring, and then work to update it as needed. It's really, really great though. It has a modeling option, which is fantastic. So if you do want to look at what the requirements would look like if you tried to do a double major, if you wanted to add that minor in, I encourage you to go in and model and audit, try it around, see what's happening. And if you need help with that, we're more than happy. Our peer counselors are amazing. They can help walk you through how to model a DARS, a degree audit. But yeah, it's a really great tool to kind of help you track your requirements and also look at possibilities and options.
And I just shared a link with, I don't think I was able to post it into the chat, but it is, there you go. So that's a link to our website. And on the bottom, there are actually a handful of videos, including how to navigate the university online, Zoom, and there's one on the degree audit report system and how to access yours. So feel free to check that out. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel because they're making a lot of really neat, helpful videos.
Okay, someone asked, can you talk about graduation requirements? What are they and how can students check if they are on track?
The graduation requirements, yeah, are essentially, it's kind of like, what's required for you to obtain your degree. And a lot of them will be consistent and uniform amongst all students, like for example, like the university college requirements or like the general number of units, like all students need 180 total units to graduate from UCLA. You also will need 60 upper division units, which upper division means these are courses that are numbered 100 through 199. They are the higher level courses. So everything that you guys came in with as transfer students are considered lower division. And the upper division courses are definitely, I know when I was an undergrad, I really enjoyed them because they're much more specific in topic, in detail. Sometimes depending on the unit 2 class sizes might be a bit smaller. So yeah, I mean, I think that graduation requirements, many will look the same, but then it'll also depend on your individual program plan, right? Like what major you are, if you're adding a minor, and what requirements kind of fall within that.
Yeah, so beyond just the university, college, and GE requirements and your major, everyone does have to graduate with a major. So beyond that, yeah, reaching that 180 units, that 60 upper division units, one of my favorite questions when I say to a student, oh, look, you have a space for an elective, like you need to take an additional course to reach 4 units, or you need those upper division units. It's always like, well, what's an elective? What can I take? It's literally like anything that you'll get units for that doesn't duplicate a course you've already taken. So this is a time to balance out your schedule, to explore, to learn something new, to take a class in an area that you've always wanted to take. So, or other internship opportunities, you can take an internship, enroll in an internship course, and get units for that. So those are all different ways that we can kind of help you explore those options. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay. One person asked, what advice do you have on time management while folks are studying at home?
Go ahead.
Go, Brian. You go.
Okay. I'll jump in. No, productivity is kind of like, I listen to productivity podcasts. I do it in a very healthy way, realizing I can't automate my entire life. But I work off of what I called focus blocks of time, or what's referred to as focus blocks of time, the FBOTs for short. And what I'll do is I'll block off an hour or two that I just call an FBOT, which is the time that I know I'm going to sit down and do all the tasks that I need to do. I keep a running task list next to me. Like as I'm getting information, I start to write down what I need to do for the day. And during those FBOTs, I just go to my list and I say, okay, that one I can do in 15 minutes, do it and cross it off. So I feel like being intentional on when you're going to have your highest productive times. I'm very productive in the morning. I'm not so productive in the evening, even though I need to be there. And then specifically staying at home, I've really learned that I need to be in tune with myself and listen to myself because my work hours right now are kind of all over the place. I'm working from home, so I kind of just listen to myself. I take a break when I need to. When I had a 15-minute break during a training that I was just doing, and I folded my laundry during the 15-minute break. It was relaxing because there wasn't a lot of it. But I mean, just kind of building in those times and being intentional. And then really, if you need to rest. If you need to carve out that time, but really carve out a space that's your own and really listen to yourself, especially as we're balancing so many different things in the world right now.
Yeah, I think that this is a time where we need to all give ourselves permission to just be kind to ourselves and know that our processes all look different. Like the reason I laughed in the beginning is because I myself as a working professional am having a hard time too, like balancing out sometimes work and home life. You know, I have a little baby. And so Brian, I love the FBOT thing. I might use that. That's a great idea. But I think it's just giving yourself permission to meet yourself where you're at and by the day, because I think it changes every day. I know for me, with how I'm feeling, how I'm doing. So take frequent breaks. Don't compare yourself to others. Your process is different than someone else's. So, you know, someone may be able to organize their time one way, do it works best for you. You know yourself best. And then also like I would say find a nice study place if you can, like in your room, I know we all live in different spaces, but something where you feel like you can really escape and focus, whether it be inside, outside, so on and so forth.
And be communicative with the people you live with. If you're living with your family right now and they have a lot of responsibilities for you, be clear when you can be available and be clear when with them and be honest on, you know, hey, I've got this class that is like, I need to check in, I need to be available for, so can we work around that? Can I find a quiet space here? Just really be communicative to everyone you're with to let them know so they don't just assume you're always available.
FBOT, family breaks of time.
There you go, yes. Build in your family breaks of time so that you can be there for them intentionally too, you know? Like instead of, okay, well, I'm trying to be there for my class and this and that, like really being able to spend the intentional time.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Tell us about the study abroad and how it can fit into my transfer experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's really, right now our EAP programs are suspended through winter. We're waiting to see if, you know, how things change within our country, how things change within other countries, and how we can all stay safe during COVID, because that really is a priority, is to make sure that everyone's safe. Once it becomes safe again to reopen those programs, there's a lot of different ways. There's a travel study program. So travel study is available during the summer. And that's where you go and you take an actual UCLA class with a UCLA professor at a specific country for a specific UCLA class. So if you want a UCLA experience abroad, summer travel study is a really great option. For those that are wanting to do a program maybe during the academic year, and there also are summer options as well, we have our EAP program. UC EAP is a UC-wide program where we partner with other institutions, other universities around the world. We've determined them to be comparable universities. You pay your UC tuition here, that covers your UC or your tuition at the institution that you're going to. Not to say that there aren't other expenses, there are, but it's a reciprocity program where we have a partner institution and they welcome UC students there. So that's a great opportunity. They have fall programs, fall semester, spring semester. They also have quarter programs. So highly encourage you to look at our International Education's Office website, IEO, and look at the EAP programs available to you. Look at programs that are a travel study. We also have, they can also help you navigate programs that are not UC based, and all the additional work that you'll need to kind of review and do when you're looking at a program outside the UC EAP program. Then definitely working with our office if you have a general education requirement that you're hoping to satisfy there, talking to us first is great, so we can review our petition process with you and make sure the courses that you're taking apply to requirements that you're considering. Encourage you to talk to your major departments to see what opportunities you have to study in your major abroad, and always checking with everyone so that there are no surprises. So not all departments are able to confirm a class before you go. So just knowing if that's something your academic department can do. Where it looks, so like we can do a provisional approval as long as the course comes over and transfers. We can review it as a GE petition first. So yeah, I think study abroad's amazing. It's really intentional. Check out the IEO website, the EAP website, talk to the office. They're still there and working. And we would love to help you plan that program and plan that opportunity so that it fits within your expectations and what you're hoping to achieve. And elective units, don't be afraid to take elective units abroad. Sometimes students are like, the people that I'm talking to about this say that it has to count for something. And it's like, they don't have to go to major, they don't have to go to GE. They could literally just be elective units where you go and enjoy being a student in that country and taking all these amazing classes. And let's plan for that. Like, I think I love just being able to kind of see, okay, you want to do something, let's see how we fit it in and you get the most out of that experience.
100%. I always ask students, I'll be like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go and be? And we'll figure it out from there. But like I said, I didn't do it. And it's one thing I don't want to say I wish I would have done if my cards fell the way they did. But I do think that when can you say that you'll be able to go and study in a country, and live there and be kind of immersed in the culture. It could happen later on in your life, but it's such a great opportunity.
And there are tons of programs that are English only. So if you're really nervous about, oh, do I have to have a certain level of foreign language proficiencies, excuse me. There's a lot of options to look from. So don't let anything be a barrier or an obstacle. We can work with it.
Awesome, thank you. So we're gonna move on to the last of the preliminary questions. So the last question is, do you guys have any advice on class planning?
I think we kind of just sprinkled a little bit here and there throughout, but one thing I'd say is like be intentional. Not only thinking about obviously your degree requirements, like yes, we want to ensure that you're taking classes that you're making progress towards degree, right? But be intentional about how it kind of fits not only into your academic goals, but also your personal and professional goals. And then I would say balance. Brian was talking about electives as an example, and especially for some of you that are in the sciences or things like that, use those electives or other courses to find balance, just to kind of help, I don't want to say make it easier for yourselves, but to make it more enjoyable. And I think also too, it's just nice to be able to study, different subject matters. I think it works different parts of your brain, your interests, things like that. So I would definitely say balance, and then take into account what you're hoping to do outside of the classroom, and what kind of time will that take, and that's valuable time too that is definitely worth it. So kind of thinking about those sorts of things as well when you're planning your classes.
And to be proactive when we get around enrollment time. So as we're getting ready to enroll in the next quarter, check your accounts to make sure there's no holds that are going to prevent enrollment. Sometimes you're enrolling over the weekends and no one is here on the weekend to help you address that hold or lift the hold. So please check your holds accounts, just see if there's anything that would prevent your enrollment. For those of you that are incoming, we have a 2-pass enrollment system. So you're able to enroll in 10 units your first pass. So everyone goes through their first pass, and then we have a second pass where you can add up to 9 more units. So just be very intentional. For that first pass, look at your major options and the major courses you need to prioritize. Check for prerequisites. If the class is requiring a prerequisite and it didn't come over, that course didn't come over directly as a transferred course, please, just contact the department to make sure you're going to be able to enroll when you think you will. So these are all things that I wish weren't obstacles, but they are. So when it comes to enrollment, be proactive, review what courses you're enrolling in, make sure that there's no little last minute hiccups, because especially during stay at home, it might take a little bit longer for you to get a hold of who you need to address an enrollment issue. And so, come and see us, come and see the department counselors. We're more than happy to review with you enrollment options, especially during our drop-in, where we can just focus on one quarter. Okay, let's look at your next quarter classes.
Okay, thank you so much for answering those questions that we gathered from our pre-registration surveys. And now we're going to turn it over to our students that they can participate and ask live questions for you guys. So how we want to do this so we can be a little more organized is if you would like to ask questions to our academic advisors, please raise your hand through Zoom and then we'll go through each person and then you'll be allowed to speak. And then we'll also try to post the question in the chat for other students who might want to chime in about their experience as well. So yeah, if you have a question, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Or if you're more comfortable, you can also write it in the chat and I can announce it to the presenters. Yes, Ivan, you can go ahead and answer your question. Ivan Lozano.
Hi there. I was just wondering if it was still possible to take a language class at my community college. My advisor said that I need to fulfill a history requirement, so I was wondering if I could take that at my CC instead of UCLA and the cost effective.
Kim, what were you going to ask me?
So we have a policy. There's lots of policies, which is why we have a job. One of the many reasons that we have a job. There's a policy called concurrent enrollment. Concurrent enrollment for fall, winter, and spring means that if you're enrolled UCLA fall, winter, and spring, you can't be enrolled elsewhere and have that course satisfy degree requirements here at UCLA. So it's different if, oh, I'm going to do my EMT certificate. I don't need to transfer the coursework, so I'm going to do EMT coursework at UCLA Extension. That's different. But if I was taking a class and I was wanting it to transfer over, unfortunately, while you're enrolled at UCLA, you can't be taking coursework elsewhere and applying it to degree. The exception is summer. Summer you could, and you'll want to talk to us if you do that. But unfortunately, we do want our UCLA students to be here and to be present and to be taking coursework here specifically at UCLA. So we have that concurrent enrollment policy. There's a petition process, but it's rarely approved. And we can always work with you if there's an American Histories and Institutions requirement or some other history requirement that you're trying to satisfy. Come in and talk to us, and we would love to talk to you about all the different ways that you can do it. You might be able to overlap it with another requirement. There might be some ways that you satisfied it in high school but didn't know that you did. So please come and talk to us because we would love to review those options with you, even if concurrent enrollment is not an option for the fall.
You can always do it in summer. Summer's the time where concurrent enrollment does not, it's not an issue. So after your first year at UCLA in the summer, if you decided to take a class at a community college for that, you could definitely do that. But as Brian mentioned, I would highly recommend that you do come in and check with us just so that we can review the requirement, all of your options, confirm that the course that you're going to take will satisfy the requirement, and any other questions that you might have about that.
Thank you.
And then our next question, Advaith. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, so I heard the word major advisor being tossed around. How do I get in contact with that person? And is a major advisor different from an academic advisor?
So academic advising at UCLA is a bit decentralized. That's the best way I can describe it, because from a student's perspective, you have a advisor in the college, which is Brian and I and our units and AAP and honors and athletics. And we look at the overall degree requirements. We're more generalists. That's how we kind of see ourselves. And we focus more on the university GE requirements, overall units, if you want to double major, program planning, things like that. And then you'll have a departmental advisor, which will be your major advisor, and they're the expert on your major. So anything that has to do with your prep requirements for your major, your upper division requirements, if you want to discuss even maybe research opportunities in your department, some departments also are really good about providing information regarding internships and stuff that are kind of more specific to their major. That's your go-to. You're going to talk to your major advisor. And similarly, if you add a minor, you would also have someone in the department who would be your minor advisor, who's the expert on those requirements.
Yeah. So easiest way, just Google UCLA, the major or the department that you want, and like advisor, and you can typically come up that way. There's a few different places that have the full lists, but that's going to be your easiest way to do it. And please know each department's different. Some departments have one departmental or major advisor. Some of them have 3 or 4 or more, just depending on the number of students and the resources that that department has. So yeah, if I get to know them, once again, they're the experts on your major. There's no way Shaw and I can know everything about every major. So that's why we have this decentralized model. Those are your experts in the area.
And Sarah just posted, sorry, Brian, Sarah posted a PDF in the chat that is a link to a handout that we have that kind of does explain the differences between college and department advising, and it does outline who you should go to what for. So hopefully that will be helpful for you as well.
Thank you, Sarah. That's great.
Okay, I'm just going to ask a few questions from the participants who sent it us privately before I get back to the hands raised in our participants. So one question we had is, when is the best time to meet with an advisor when school starts, since the last time they met with them was orientation? Like, which time would you prefer, towards the few beginnings of the week, in the fall quarter, as late as winter quarter? So
I think it depends on the student. I mean, I would love to be able to say that we should meet with everyone once a quarter. Our unit serves 18,000 students, I think. So you should definitely come by if you'd like to, but there are some students that honestly never come and see us. And they figure it out, they're doing their thing. And then there are students who do come and see us once a quarter, multiple times throughout the quarter. So I think it kind of just depends on what sort of guidance or support that you're looking for. But I would encourage that a student come and visit us once a quarter. We have busier times, I would say. Yeah, like during enrollment time, it's usually pretty busy in any office. Brian, I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in a 10-week quarter, in a normal 10-week quarter, the first 2 weeks, we're doing a lot of enrollment advising. So as students are changing their schedule for that specific quarter, we're seeing a high volume of students at that time. If you want to discuss long-term planning, after week 2 is great. As we go into weeks 3, 4, and 5, that's one of those slower periods that I think that we can be more present and available to you all and have those conversations. After week 5, we begin enrollment for the next quarter. Once the schedule of classes comes out, then we get busy again as everyone's continuing to enroll through around week 8. And once again, these weeks might move depending on situations with COVID and everything going on, but that's a typical busy time for enrollment, weeks 5 through 8. And then weeks 9 and 10, it slows down for us a little bit more and we can have those long-term conversations. So come and see us as you need to. Don't be like, oh, well, he said they were going to be busy, so I'm not going to come. If you need us, please, if you're unsure, if you don't know where to go, come and see us in our drop-ins. We're often a really great place to start and we can then get you where you need to go. So come and see us as needed, especially if you're wondering. If you're wondering, I don't know what to do. Can I drop that class? Should I drop that class? How would this affect me? We're here for you.
And as Brian mentioned, we have like other resources in our office too, like the program that Brian manages, the College Academic Mentors. They often they meet with a lot of students regarding graduate and professional school. So maybe you're pre-med, or maybe you're thinking about a graduate program in education or public health or whatever it may be. they're wonderful, wonderful graduate students who have so much great lived experiences, but they can certainly help answer questions that you might have also about graduate professional school and things like that too.
Okay, the next student with their hand up is Fatima.
Do we stick with the same academic counselor throughout being at UCLA, or do you see a new counselor every time you come into the office?
So I believe the question, sorry, it was a little quiet. I just want to confirm that what I heard was what you're asking is you're wanting to know, can you see one counselor throughout, or would you be seeing many different academic advisors and different academic counselors? Is that the question?
Yeah, basically, I was just going to ask, do you see a new advisor every time you come in, or is it the same person throughout your time at UCLA?
Yeah, so we have a lot of staff members in our office. So if you come to our drop-ins, virtual drop-ins, you're going to be seeing someone throughout. You'll be seeing a different person each time. But you can always schedule appointments. You could request to meet with a counselor that you've met with before, and if they're available, you can book an appointment. I think that becomes the biggest part, is if they're available. So, sometimes students meet with me and they want to meet with me again because, we had a good interaction and we had a great conversation. The good news is I'm keeping notes. We keep notes about what we discussed. So let's say I was sick that day or I was out on vacation. Wouldn't that be lovely? And I'm not available, but you need to see someone now. Shala can pick up on my notes. She can read what we discussed and pick up right then and there. So yes, there are opportunities if we're available for you to meet with the same counselor if you like, but the staff that we have at CAC is amazing. Literally anyone there is going to take good care of you. And so if you're used to working with one person and they're not available, but you need to see someone, please feel free to see anyone. Everyone in our office will take really good care of you.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because I work there. I'm just speaking off my professional experiences of working at other places. Everyone in our office are just so committed to the mission of supporting students and really providing the best support possible. So Brian and I we both could wholeheartedly say we trust all of our staff for any of you to go and just talk to anybody. With your department, with your major, you may likely end up talking to the same person. Some departments are smaller and they have one advisor for the major. Others, like psychology, have I think 4 or 5 advisors. And every department's a little bit different with how their models are. But with that regard, yes, you might see them one person more frequently than in our area.
And then questions for our academic advisors. Are you guys willing to stay a few minutes over? We do have quite a few questions, but if you guys do have another time appointment, we can wrap it up in the next few questions.
Let me check my calendar because I'll be honest, time does not exist for me right now. And so I need to check to see. I'm open and available. Yes, I can keep going. Shala, I don't know.
I have to hop out probably by 3 if I have a meeting, but
Okay.
I'll hang out longer. I'll be happy to hang out longer.
And then Michael, can you ask one question that was sent to you?
Yeah, of course. So I'll be asking a question that one of the participants sent me during the pre-questions. So they asked, am I able to enroll in University Studies 10D before my enrollment appointment, as there are only 2 spots left in the last available course?
Yes. University Studies is an amazing course. Dr. Marian Gabra that we work with is phenomenal. She oversees the program, and we have amazing instructors for that course. I would definitely encourage—
Brian included. Brian, but for the summer, but still, shout out.
Yeah, I just finished teaching that course last week, which was lovely. And Shala's taught it before as well. So please add yourself onto a wait list if you're unable to get in that way. I think that enrollment right now, depending on how many units you have, they should be able to enroll, and if they're below the 19 units, if not, it's going to open up September 22nd. You should be able to go in if there's still seats available. But yeah, if you, of course, are wanting to make changes to your schedule before then, and you might want to touch base with new student transition programs if you already did your schedule with them. If you haven't gone to orientation yet, let them know that you want to get into that class.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then we have a hand raised from our participants from Yondon.
So my question was basically to clarify that there will be a new section for University Studies 10D opening up soon, right?
I don't know if a new section will be opened up. That's something, unfortunately, I'm not sure. So keep an eye out for it. If I believe 10B, the transfer specific one, is offered multiple times throughout the year. So if you weren't able to get into it this quarter, highly encourage you to look at your options, but keep an eye out. Yeah, I feel like it's perfect. It's offered every quarter, almost every quarter. If you're not able to do it this quarter, please, yeah, come and see us again for next quarter. I'm really glad that everyone's excited. It's a great opportunity, a great program.
Okay.
Yeah, the nature of that course is they're meant to be small. They're meant to stay at about 25, I think 30 people at the most. So because of that, we do keep the sizes limited, but I would, if you're really interested, check to see if there's a wait list, add yourself onto the wait list, because sometimes students will drop after that first week. So keep an eye on it.
I just checked, and yeah, it looks like there's 2 seats open in one, and then some of the wait lists, it looks like there's room.
Okay.
So definitely add yourself to the wait list like Brian suggested.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, I can ask the next question. Well, not ask the next question, but okay. So this person asked, I heard the word major advisor being tossed around. How do we get in contact with that person? Is a major advisor different from an academic advisor?
The major advisors are also academic advisors, but just are experts in your particular major. How you can reach out to them, I would recommend visiting the website of your department, especially now with COVID, we're all working remotely. And so every department has kind of their own way in which students can reach out to them. Some of them have their calendars up where you can make appointments. Some of them you have to email to request an appointment. Some use Message Center. So I would recommend that you visit your department's website. So if you're at the anthropology department, then I would go to the anthropology major, Google it. There's usually always under undergraduate, like an advising tab or something that will tell you more about academic advising. And then they'll explicitly state how you can get in touch with your advisor there. If you have trouble finding that, feel free to visit us in drop-in, and one of us can help you find that information.
Okay, the next question that I got is it hard or particularly challenging for transfers to apply or take courses for minors?
Is it hard for a transfer student to do a minor, is the question?
Yeah.
It depends on your major. It depends on the rigor of what you're looking to do, and it depends on your experience with the content that you're looking at. So but once again, the sooner the better to talk to us and have that conversation so we can help you plan it in. It might be that you have space and we can just put things in. It might be that you need to up your enrollment in future quarters to 4 quarters or a summer to fit it in. So it's the answer that everyone hates, which is it depends. But I really feel like we can help you plan for them. Most of them are anywhere from 7 to 9 courses. And we would just want to look at your overall course load and how we can fit it in a way that is really amenable to you and your goals.
And for most minors, you can actually overlap. So depending, right? So it depends on if there is overlap that exists. But if there is, you can overlap usually 2 courses between your major and minor. So you have to have 20 units that are unique to the minor. But there is opportunity for overlap sometimes. So that kind of helps as well. But as Brian said, you guys are all unique. Like you're all transfers and that's what you have in common. But you've all come in probably with different number of units, with different requirements satisfied, with different majors. So we'd have to look at your individual record to kind of see like, okay, you have room for electives. Let's look at that. Or, oh, your major's a bit tighter. How can we fit in that? So really just case by case.
Okay, awesome. Jessica, if you want to ask your question, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, so I am at I'm just going to say the community college. I'm at Sacramento City College right now, and I was wondering who I could meet with specifically in the UCLA like transfer department. I don't know about which classes I need to take specifically for my chemistry major, because I've tried to contact the Sac City counselors and they keep on giving me different educational plans. And I just want to know who I can talk to so that then when I transfer to UCLA, it's not a train wreck.
Awesome. Yeah, no, our admissions representative, so UCLA Admission will be a really great resource. If you go onto the chemistry department's website, I believe they have a section that says for incoming students. Some departments have that area where they'll list out requirements that are necessary and specific for you to apply to apply as a chemistry major into UCLA. So I would encourage you to work with our admissions office and to navigate the different incoming transfer resources that they have. Perfect. Thank you so much for posting that, Sarah. To help get a sense of what coursework you would need to do. And it's always great to check that against the information that you're getting from other people, because once again, we're humans. Sometimes we make mistakes. So the more information that you have to bring to your community college counselors, the best it would be to help you navigate why you're getting different plans from different people.
Okay, the next student who has a question is Aziz.
Yes, thank you. My question is, can we take more than 12 units or 3 classes in our first semester? Also, does university studies class count towards the 180 unit that's required to graduate?
Yes, so the university studies is a 2-unit pass no pass seminar. So those 2 units do apply to your 180 needed to graduate. You could add it as, a 4th course with your 3 pre-existing courses. And then you also wanted to know, is it possible to take more than 3 classes your first quarter?
Yes.
Okay, it's possible. It's possible, it's not recommended. I know at orientation, you've just signed up for 3 classes because we need to make sure that everyone gets into the courses that they need to, that the enrollment was equitable. So orientation right now is working with students to make sure that you all have gotten into 3 courses. If you really are wanting to add that 4th class, once again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. However, you could be able to do that after September 22nd when they open up the seats for all courses that have the orientation enrollment restriction. So after that date, you could theoretically add a 4th class if you wanted to, but like I said, it's not something we necessarily recommend for your first quarter. 3 classes is plenty as you're adjusting to the quarter system. And I wouldn't recommend changing your schedule around too much from what you enrolled in with orientation, but please come and talk to us if that's something that you're considering, just because your NSAs did a really great job of getting you into the enrolled courses that you need according to what's available. And we can always work with you on adding those courses in later after your first quarter.
Thank you.
And university studies is not meant to be academically rigorous. It's really what you bring into it, and it's definitely more self-reflection based. If anything, I think it's a supplement that will help support you in your other courses and in your undergraduate career. So it's definitely not meant to be something that will add a lot of additional busy work or stress or things like that. It's meant to kind of help inform and support you, as you navigate your journey.
Thank you.
Awesome. Someone from the participants asked, where do we schedule an appointment with a counselor?
2 different ways to do that. At our CAC website, you'll see a banner right now. That location might change in the upcoming weeks, but that says, welcome, connect to us virtually. And so you can come to our virtual drop-ins from there in the fall. They're gonna be from 10 to 12, and then from 1 to 4. Right now, they're from 1 to 2, with the exception of Fridays where we have to start at 10:30 because we have our staff meeting. But you can see us in drop-in, and if we need to schedule you an appointment, we can schedule an appointment then. You could send us a message, send a request to schedule an appointment, and we would work with you on our availability to schedule you an appointment based on need. And so those are 2 ways in how to schedule a 30-minute appointment with us. But drop-ins is a great start because sometimes students think they need more time, and often we can answer their question right then and there. and we'll schedule a follow-up appointment if what you want to talk to us about is more extensive.
Okay, a student asked, where can we look for work-study jobs?
Career Center. They have a website called Handshake. So you build up your Handshake profile, log in, build it up. And I think that's a great place to start to look for on-campus positions for work study. I don't know, this isn't my wheelhouse, but that's one place that I would go and look to start. I don't know if anyone else has other suggestions.
I feel like there's normally a work study fair that happens. I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that I haven't heard anything about that happening this year, but I just saw, and I'm trying to find it. I'll hunt it down and put it in the chat. Financial Wellness Program on campus just released something about finding work study jobs. They haven't done that in the past though. You're not losing it. They're trying to help people make those connections, but you're definitely right about Handshake.
And I love what people are saying in the chat where the jobs and finance tab. That's a great, I'm seeing lots of people agree with that, so.
Awesome. So for the next question, one person asked, do we stick with the same counselor throughout our time at UCLA, or do we see a new counselor every time we come into the counseling office?
Yeah, like oh, Shala, you wanna?
Yeah, I think we touched on that. So in the college, like with us, you may or may not see the same advisor. If you're in drop-in counseling, you might see any one of us. If you've met with someone before, you can request them in the future, but it just depends on their availability. But with your actual major, you'll likely work with them more closely unless there's someone new or something like that. But as mentioned, we do have a system called Counselor Desktop where we do keep notes when we do meet with students so that there is consistency and so that you don't necessarily have to repeat everything all over again, and that counselors can be prepared when meeting with different students. So know that we will definitely review those notes before we meet with you. I have to jump out. I'm so sorry. It was so nice meeting you all virtually.
Thank you so much for answering all these questions. We appreciate your time though. Thank you so much.
I kind of regret having a meeting at 3 because I would have loved to stayed. Because transfer students, you guys have a special place in my heart. But good luck to you all. For those of you that are admitted, congratulations. I know it's an interesting time. Know that we're all in this with you and that we're here to support you. And for those of you that are, I guess, prospective students, good luck with your transfer process. And hopefully I'll get to speak with some of you in the future. Thank you, Brian. Sorry, I have to leave you.
Of course. Thank you.
I know you got it, but all right. Bye.
So I guess we can answer about 2 to 3 more questions before we can wrap up this session. So Ryan or Michael, did you have any other questions, or did you want to call on the participant in the chat?
I have one question left on my list. This student, you touched on this before, but this student asked, would an academic advisor be the right person to ask for course planning? More specifically, this student is an incoming transfer applying to grad school next year. So they're curious which upper division classes they should complete first during this academic year so that their application is strong when they apply next fall.
That is a really great question, and it already tells me that they're being really intentional in what they're looking at, which is great. I think that you can definitely bring that information to us and we can review with you. Yes, we are a great resource for course planning, where if you have specific programs in mind that you're applying to, if you bring them to us, we can kind of review and see. We can have some insight about those classes that you're looking to take, if it's going to be realistic for you to take them in your first year. Your major department might have some insight too. So the answer is yes, come and talk to us. We will be able to give you some information. We might refer you to your major department. Also, our college academic mentors, who are our graduate students who do graduate and professional advising, might be able to assist you in reviewing at least those programs that you're looking at and having some conversations about preparedness for applying into graduate and professional school programs. So we are a really good place to start. You might talk to a few of us. You also might talk to your department counselor, and I would highly encourage you, If you have specific programs in mind, specific schools that you're going to, contact them and see if they have informational sessions. Ask them if they have a preference. Contact the programs directly, because I can give you a suggestion, an idea, but I'm not going to be the one admitting you. So make sure that you're staying in communication with those departments after you talk to us, or to those programs that you're looking at applying into, and hear directly from them.
Thank you so much. Adbait, I saw your hand. I think he just privately messaged me too, but he asked if it is possible to get on the wait list, not enroll for certain classes before September 22nd.
At this time, no. If the courses are locked to orientation, and also I think orientation right now at this time wants you to keep your schedules the same. So new student transition programs is wanting to kind of keep it there. So I would say at this time, keep your eye on the wait list. We want to make sure that students are able to enroll in all the courses that they need. And then that September 22nd timeline would be a good time to go ahead and see if you still have that waitlisting option available to you. And do talk to us if you are going to pursue that option, on how you're keeping an eye on your enrollment. So if you get into that waitlisted class, what's the other class that you're going to drop? Have that conversation with us, because we don't want you to drop a course that you shouldn't have dropped. So please, at this time, check with your departmental advisor if it's for your major, with us after the 22nd, if you're looking at doing any changes to your schedule. But once again, orientation does things really intentionally. And I know that you all want to take a lot of autonomy in selecting your courses, and I highly encourage you to do so. But I would have those conversations about maybe what winter quarter or spring quarter would look like to add to your schedule. Maybe not so many changes for fall.
Okay, awesome. I have one more question left. And the question is, I took a class at my CC and requested a course evaluation, and the school accepted it. However, they said it might not appear on my DARS, and I'll have trouble signing up for classes that require the class I took. What should I do so that I won't be removed from those classes in the next quarter?
Cool. So there's a new feature. The registrar's office added a new feature where, I'm going to probably misrepresent this, where a department can go in and add the exception in. So if the course was not directly articulated, so I took this physics course and it's supposed to directly articulate to physics 5, but that articulation is not going to show, but I need the system to see that I took physics 5 in order to take this next course. I would recommend reaching out to the department that needs that prerequisite, and they can go in. There's a way that they can add in an exception that allows the system to recognize that you took that equivalent course, even though there's no direct articulation. So that's where I would work more closely with the academic departments and make sure that everything's in place when you need to go to enroll. I'm really happy to hear that you're thinking that far in advance, and you know that that's an issue you should watch out for. So I'd highly encourage you to check in with the departments.
Okay, great. Ryan and Michael, did you ask all the questions? It looks like we don't have anybody raising their hand. Great, great. So I think we covered all of our questions. Thank you so much again, Mr. Henry, for coming out and answering all the questions we have about advising. I know there was like a lot of questions that we had during orientation, but we like never even got an answer or was never reviewed through the presentation. So this was so much very helpful, even as a second-year transfer. I'm just learning a little few things so I can iron out some of the information I know. So again, thank you so much. And I also want to thank again our participants for coming out today and also asking your questions. Hopefully you got all your answers for everything you were wondering about. And then for our next session coming up at 4 p.m., we're going to have a student panel talking about their experiences, whether it relates to academics, student life, or overall how they balance both school life and home life. So we look forward to seeing you at 4 p.m. And yeah, I will have a nice day. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you again to our moderators. And thank you again, Sarah, for setting up our Zoom link. Thank you.